Have you ever stood beside someone you love, yet felt an unshakable loneliness creep in? The room is the same, their voice unchanged, but the air feels colder, the space between you wider. It's not the slamming doors or shouted words that unravel you, it's the quiet. The way they no longer linger in your presence. The way their eyes drift past you as if searching for something else. You've tried to name it, to pin down why the warmth has faded, but the answers slip through your fingers. Maybe you wondered if it's your fault if you become somehow less interesting, less worthy. The silence grows heavier each day, and you're left asking where did the love go? This isn't a rare ache. It's a shared human wound. You might replay moments in your mind dinners when their laughter once filled the air, nights when their words wove you into their world. Now, those memories feel like ghosts haunting a house you can't return to. You reach out, hope and pull them back, but their responses are short, their smiles polite, their attention elsewhere. It's not anger you face, but indifference, a slow, creeping void that leaves you invisible even as you stand in plain sight. Have you felt that sting, that moment when you realize the person you love no longer sees the same way? This fading isn't random, nor is it entirely about you. It's a dance of the psyche, as Carl Jung would describe it. Love, in Jung's view, is a projection of the unconscious. We don't just love a person, we love what they awaken in us. Through them, we meet our anima or animus, the inner feminine or masculine, the hidden half of our soul. At first, they embody this archetype perfectly. Their words spark our dreams, and their presence stirs our depths. But over time, the projection can falter. Maybe they change, retreating into their unconscious struggles. Or maybe you do, no longer need them as a mirror. The connection phrase not because of what's said, but because of what's unsaid, their inner world closes off, and the myth you built together begins to crumble. Jung saw the psyche as a living system, always seeking balance. When someone stops sharing their thoughts and their dreams, it's a sign their unconscious has shifted perhaps toward a new ideal, a new projection. When they compare you silently, gazing at others with flicker of longing, it's their soul measuring you against an archetype you no longer fit. This isn't cruelty. It's the natural ebb of psychic energy. The silence you hear is the sound of their anima or animus turning inward or outward, away from you. The pain comes not from their withdrawal alone, but from the loss of that shared alchemical bond, the one that once made you feel whole. Yet here's when Jung's wisdom shines. This loss doesn't have to break you, it can awaken you. The fading of their love is a call from your unconscious, urging you to reclaim what you projected onto them. Instead of chasing their gaze, turn inward. Explore your shadow, the parts of yourself you've ignored or suppressed. Meet your anima or animus within, not through them. Jung believed true growth comes from individuation, the process of integrating these inner fragments into a fuller self. Their silence becomes your invitation to listen to your soul, to find the vitality they once reflected on you. You don't need their love to feel complete. You need your own. Dive into your dreams, your creativity, and your hidden desires. Those are the threads of your psyche waiting to be woven anew. Their withdrawal isn't the end of meaning. It's the beginning of a deeper dialogue with yourself. By facing this shift, you break free from dependence on their validation and step into your power. The emptiness they leave behind becomes a canvas for your growth, a space to rediscover who you are beyond their shadow. Imagine this. What if their fading love isn't a loss, but a liberation? Jung taught that every crisis in the psyche holds a seed of transformation. If you embrace this process, you'll find that the quiet they've left you with isn't a void, it's a mirror. You'll see yourself more clearly than ever, not as a fragment of their story, but as the center of your own. The pain of their distance can fuel a journey inward, one that leaves you stronger, more alive, more whole. This isn't just survival, it's rebirth. You're not powerless. You're on the cusp of becoming more than you ever were with them. Why does it cut so deeply when love fades without a sound? Because in Jung's psychology, love is a sacred encounter with the unconscious. It's not just about companionship. It's about meeting yourself through another. When you love someone, you project your anima or animus onto them, seeing in the qualities your soul longs to embody. Their presence becomes a bridge to your depths, a living symbol of your inner world. So when they pull away, when they stop sharing, When their eyes wander, it's not just a personal rejection. It's a rupture in that psychic bond, a loss of the myth that held you together. This matters because it forces you to face a profound question. Who are you in a mirror their love no longer reflects you? This isn't trivial, it's existential. Jung believed the psyche craves wholeness, and love is one of its greatest tools. When it fades, you're left with a void that echoes with unmet needs, unvoiced dreams, and buried parts of yourself. It matters because it's a wake-up call. You can't outsource your soul's growth to someone else. Their silence, their comparisons, are signals that the projection has weakened, and that's your chance to take it back, to find meaning not in them, but in you. If you ignore this, you risk staying trapped in a half-lived life, chasing shadows instead of claiming your light. How does love slip away so quietly? Jung would say it's a shift in the unconscious. At the start, your partner is a vessel for your anima or animus. They embody the mystery, the passion, and the potential you haven't yet claimed. You share everything, thoughts, fears, and hopes because your psyches are intertwined, feeding off each other's energy. But over time, this dynamic can erode. Perhaps they retreat into their shadow, wrestling with parts of themselves they can't share. Or maybe their unconscious seeks a new archetype, one you no longer represent. They stop inviting you into their inner world, not out of spite, but because the bridge between you no longer holds. Then comes a comparison of the second sign. Their gaze lingers on others, and their words hint at admiration for traits you don't possess. Carl Jung saw this as the psyche's restless search for balance. They're not rejecting you deliberately. They're projecting their anima or animus elsewhere, drawn to a new ideal. It's subtle, a colder tone, a distracted glance, but it's unmistakable. The connection fades because the unconscious story you shared has lost its power. Their soul moves on, not with fanfare, but with a quiet turning away, leaving you to feel the weight of their absence. So what can you do when you see these signs? Jung's psychology offers a path forward. Here are 3 practical steps to transform the loss. 1. Confront your shadow. Stop looking to them for answers and face the parts of yourself you've avoided. What fears, insecurities, or desires did you project onto them? Write them down, explore them in dreams, or sit with them in silence. The shadow holds the raw material of your growth. Embrace it. 2. Engage your anima/animus. Reclaim the archetype they once embodied. If they were your muse, create, paint, write, dance. If they were your strength, build something with your hands. Find the energy they spark within you, not through them, but in your soul. 3. Rewrite the myth. Let go of the old story. Visualize them fading like a figure in a dream, or burn a letter you'll never send. Then ask, what new narrative does my psyche crave? Craft it consciously through rituals, goals, or quiet reflection, and step into it with intention. These aren't just coping mechanisms, they're acts of individuation, Jung's term for becoming whole. You're not begging for their return. You're building a self that doesn't need it. The silence they leave becomes your space to grow. The comparison's a reminder of your untapped potential. This is how you turn their departure into your awakening. Through Jung's lens, the fading of love isn't defeat, it's a summons. The contrast effect takes you from the ache of their withdrawal to the promise of your rebirth. While the golden circle roots you in why it matters, how it unfolds, and what you can do together. They show that their silence, their wandering eyes, aren't the end of your story, they're the start of a deeper one. You're not losing love, you're gaining yourself. So, reflect. Have you felt that quiet drift, that moment when their inner world closed to you? Have you sensed their gaze measuring you against something you can't become? Write it down. Share it. In Jung's world, every rupture is a chance to integrate, to heal, to evolve. By naming your experience, you don't just mend your psyche, you help others see their own. Love's exit isn't the final word. It's the first step toward a fuller you. Will you take it?